Okay, before we get going on our project, I want to download two more data sets. One you should be familiar with. We're just going to get the main townships file. So I'm going to main GIS data and the main.gov main GIS catalog. And in this catalog, I'm going for the town boundary. So go ahead and download that if you don't already have it. The other piece of data that I want to get is I want some representation of the kind of density of vessel traffic on the main coast here. And I think that the best way to do that is there's this system right now called AIS. And so I'm going to say AIS system, and you can Google this on your own time, but it's an automatic identification system that is on every ship over a certain size. And it's probably not on every lobster boat. I'm not sure what the law is, but it's on a lot of pleasure boats, and it's definitely on every tug and kind of industrial ship, or I guess you'd say commercial ship. So I just want to kind of use that as a proxy to kind of show us where people are very frequently going. And we might come up with, I think what we'll say is that we don't really want to go fishing where there's a lot of high boat traffic because we're trying to enjoy ourselves. So in order to find this AIS data, I'm going to do another Google search, and I'm going to search AIS GIS data, and I'm going to say marine, maybe marine data. Let's see what happens here. And I get this website that comes up. It's called marinecadastre.gov. And cadastral is a word that you'll hear a lot, and let's see what the actual definition is, but it has to do with who owns what. And cadastral on kind of the land has to do with parcels. And it's kind of an old word, but it's the extent and value and ownership of land. And so marine cadastre is kind of the idea that even though the ocean is a giant, vast place, there's still kind of ownership and different routes and things. So this website, marinecadastre.gov, is pretty interesting. And their whole deal is that it's really helpful for marine planning to be able to show kind of these density maps. And so they have everything listed right out here. You can download data 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13. But it comes in a file format that's not that useful for us because we're in open source, using open source software. It comes in a geodatabase, which can only really be used by ArcGIS. So if you're interested in that, they have by the month, by the year, every single vessel kind of thing going on here. But what we're going to do is I've done a little bit of research, and if you go to data and you search for vessel. If you type in the vessel, you get all these returns, and I've done a little bit of work to figure out which one of these is going to work for what we're doing. And we're going to use the 2010 vessel traffic AIS. If you look at the information here, there's a little description of each one of these files, but this one is derived from the AIS broadcast returns. Each vessel count, it's actually a big grid that says how many times a vessel has crossed that grid over the course of a year. So, and it's pretty coarse. It's a coarse grain, but we're still going to try to use it because I think we're going to use it kind of as our proxy. So, might not make sense right now, but I'm going to ask you to download this file, and you can go over here to the little cloud and go, we want to take the Atlantic data file. So that's totally fine. So download that one as well. And it's not too big. It's only 37 megabytes. It should be fine. Sorry, 32 megabytes. Okay. I'm going to unzip these. Okay. Let's take a look at what this looks like. We know what the main township file looks like. We can drag that in and see, okay, yep, there are the townships, and we're going to use this a little bit later, but not right now. So I'm going to remove it because I don't need it. But what does the AIS count vessels Atlantic 2010 file look like? And it says .shp, so I know it has to be a vector file. But when I drag it in, boom, it kind of looks, it really does kind of look like a raster. But if you grab a select tool or your information tool and you zoom right in, each one of these cells is actually an independent polygon. So it's a polygon shapefile, a vector file. And the reason they do that is because they want to be able to record multiple attributes per location. So you can see, all 7. And what that means is that there were, during the year, there were 7 vessels that have AIS that pass through that. So everything has one symbology right now, but I think it might be interesting to see what this looks like kind of with a more interesting type of symbology. So let's go do that. I'm going to go into here and into my properties. And the style, I think I want to do graduated because we're looking at count values. How many times did a vessel cross each piece of this, each one of these pieces? And so I go graduated. The column I care about is going to be all. I care about all vessels. And I'm going to say that I want to use, I think I'm going to use one of my suitability ones just to give a kind of heat map feel. And we're going to talk about these very soon. But for now, just go ahead and choose quantile. Okay, that might have taken a while, but I'm going to hit OK. And it's kind of cool, isn't it? It's very coarse, but it's showing us just how many vessels have crossed each one of these little grid cells. Okay, before the next video, what I want to do is actually just isolate our workspace here. You might notice if you zoom out, this covers the entire eastern seaboard, and it's a ton of data. I don't need all of this information, right down to Florida. So how do I get rid of it? Well, I think I'm just going to go the easy route and use the rectangle. I could do a select by location or something like that, but I think for our purposes, just grabbing this select features by area is going to work just fine. So click that, and I'm going to go just a little bit bigger than our raster to make sure I get everything. Click, drag, like that. I'm going to stay outside of Portland if I can, but do that. And there we go. And I'm going to right click again and say save as, right clicking the layer saying save as, and I'm only saving the selected features as shapefile, and I'm going to save it under lab 3, and I'm going to call this vessel count mid-coast. Alright, and there's our new file. And as you can see, the default symbology for for all the shapefiles is just kind of a random color with a black border around kind of the fill. So, all right, you've got your 3 main pieces of data, and there's only one more lab video, and then we'll get on to the tutorial in class.